I actually feel super weird talking about something that is a weakness. If I'm not capable of helping me and solving the issue, who's gonna be able to do that? This is not living, this is just breathing in and out. Hey guys, my name is Resh, I'm 26 and I have panic attacks. I wanted to record a video about me having panic attacks because when I had my first panic attack, I felt like I'm the only person that has this and I'm a freak. And it really took me a long time to realize that I actually had panic attacks because the first time I experienced it, I was 17 years old. I remember it clearly. I was sitting in chemistry class and I started hyperventilating because I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I was breathing in and out and I felt like the air reaching my lungs was just not sufficient. Think of it as when you try to breathe in, right? You do this. And you do it up to a point where your lungs are full and you get that relief and then you exhale. But when you're hyperventilating, the reason you're hyperventilating is that when you breathe in, like deeply, do this, you feel like it's not enough. You feel like your lungs are not full. You don't get that relieving feeling. So that's why you start breathing in and out more frequently. And that makes you hyperventilate. And that's how it started, actually. I gotta tell you, it was horrible. The hospital was right next to my school. And of course, the teacher also panicked. And I went to the hospital and they told me that everything was fine. I had some medical tests and everything was just fine. And I didn't understand that, because I felt like there has to be something wrong with me. When I first experienced that, I started thinking about it. I couldn't believe what happened because I was a healthy child. I mean, by the age of 17, I hadn't had any problems with my body. I mean, I did have migraine. It started when I was 9 and it stopped when I was 17, just a couple of months before I experienced my first panic attack. I didn't even know why I had the migraine, but the doctors told me it's because of stress. Eventually, the migraine was gone, but I had it like once a month, so I was happy that it was over. But then the panic attacks started. And guys, the biggest problem in having panic attacks was that I didn't realize that I had panic attacks. I always tried to make myself believe, hey, you are not a freak. You are not insane. You cannot have panic attacks. You're smart. You can control yourself. You're not weak. First of all, right? Thinking that having panic attacks makes you a weak person was my biggest mistake ever, because that really delayed a lot of things. For almost a year, I went to the hospital for a total of 30 times maybe. Everybody knew me and they kind of got sick of me. They were like, oh, there's this guy again. And I was like, there has to be something for sure that is wrong with my body, because I felt like you have to be crazy to have panic attacks. When I started realizing, okay, this is a major problem and I maybe have to see a psychiatrist, I went to a psychiatrist and he told me that those are panic attacks because they actually happened in specific situations. I had what's called agoraphobia, which is actually a little bit hard to explain for people who really never actually experienced it. What happens when you have agoraphobia is when you leave your house, you get into a situation where you cannot leave without people noticing you, then you panic subconsciously. You don't really think about it maybe, but your subconsciousness tells you, hey, you cannot leave without people noticing and without you being embarrassed. So let me tell you when it actually happened. When I went into a grocery store and I was waiting in line, when I went to the barber, when I was on a train or on a bus or some other kind of public transport, when I was sitting in class and listening to the professor, those were the times where it was very likely that I could experience a panic attack. So I realized that at some point. I said, hey, you're a strong person, you can handle this. Attacking the problem is going to be the best thing you can do to solve this issue. Whenever I got on a train, I knew I could have a panic attack right now, but I started to try to distract myself. So I downloaded some apps on my phone, some games that would distract me. So I was just focusing on the game, but I started hyperventilating again. I couldn't help it. So even though I didn't think of anything else than the game that I was playing, I still had the panic attacks. And the worst part was that nobody actually got it. Nobody understood what I was talking about. Some of my friends at that age thought I was crazy. And when I told my dad, he told me, hey, just try not to think about it. Well, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking of panic attacks. They just happen and then you automatically think about it. When you cannot breathe for 5 seconds, you think you're gonna die. That's what you think. And when you cannot breathe, you start thinking about dying and then you panic. That's like a domino effect. You can't shut that part of your brain down. It doesn't work. I try to fight it. I really tried so hard to fight it. I went to college, I went to the barber, and the worst thing was when the barber was cutting my hair, you cannot just go, oh, I'm having a panic attack right now, I gotta go. Well, he's got to finish cutting your hair, right? That was one of the moments where I actually would experience a panic attack. Trying for about a month to fight those situations and fight those attacks didn't help. It got me nowhere, basically. So I went to a psychiatrist. He told me, well, I'm gonna give you benzodiazepines, tranquilizers that make you feel really groggy and you feel like you smoked pot when you take them. I took them and I felt like, So I was like, okay, this is not a solution. I can't go to college like that. After trying all of that, I started realizing, okay, the only thing that I can do now is just to stay home to avoid the panic attacks. And whenever I stayed home and didn't leave my apartment for the whole day, I didn't have any panic attacks. So that's why I didn't leave my apartment for a total of 14 months. And I just stayed home and played Counter-Strike for about a year straight. At one point I was like, okay, I gotta go back to college. This is not living, this is just breathing in and out. I started to find some help on the internet. I found some blogs. People were helping each other, encouraging each other to go to therapy because I was kind of resisting. I didn't really believe in psychotherapy because I felt like who could possibly help me if not myself? Like if I'm not capable of helping me and solving the issue, who's going to be able to do that? The feeling that I had was, and that's a bit stupid to be honest, it's a little bit arrogant. I'm smart enough to know what's going on. I know I've had some traumas. I have to be calm. I have to be patient, blah, 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 blah. What else could a psychiatrist tell me, right? But that's bullshit. That's not how it works. I feel like everybody needs a psychiatrist, by the way. So I went to a psychiatrist and he gave me this medicine called paroxetine. And I told him that I was not gonna take any benzodiazepines anymore because they're not a solution. Benzodiazepines, you can take them like once a year maybe to help you out in a dangerous situation where you maybe have a panic attack and you really can't find a solution at that moment, then you might want to take them at that moment, but it's not a thing to do every day. He gave me paroxetine. I did a little bit of research on that. It's not a benzodiazepine. It's some kind of a tranquilizer. It shows its effect after taking it for about a month. So I started taking paroxetine and I always had a pill of benzodiazepine. I don't know what the brand name was. I think it was diazepam. I always had it in my wallet, but I never used it. It was like a relieving thing to know that I had something that I could take when I had a panic attack. The paroxetine actually helped me, and I started going to college again. I started working out and I started talking to people again. I started leaving my apartment. I was again able to go to the barber, but I still had that fear in the back of my head because I still remembered the times where most of my friends thought I was crazy because I didn't want to leave my apartment. They wanted me to go out. They wanted me to go to bars and clubs and everything. And I was like, nah. And I didn't really want to explain it because I knew they wouldn't understand. Like nobody did. Nobody really understood. Like some of my friends were like, oh, okay, we get it, but they didn't get it. You know, they didn't get it. They didn't understand it. They were just trying to be nice. They were like, oh, okay, he has some problems, but what is it? We don't really understand. When you have panic attacks, people try to actually help you somehow, but that's the last thing you need because when I had a panic attack, I didn't want people to see it. I didn't want people to notice. Like I just wanted to, to experience it and then just leave it there. But when you're panicking and when you're hyperventilating, people will come at you and be like, oh, what's going on? How can we help you? And you don't want that stress. It's just too much at that moment. The thing that really drives you crazy in that moment is that people actually overreact. I started reading about panic attacks. I started reading about agoraphobia, about other kinds of phobias. I also talked to a girl who also had agoraphobia. She didn't hyperventilate. She started puking. Her heartbeat got really fast. Her hands got really sweaty when she had a panic attack. That's also horrible, but I feel like it's worse when you feel like you're gonna die any minute because you can't breathe. I know why I had panic attacks because I had a lot of traumas in my life. I mean, who doesn't? Everybody has some traumas in his life. Some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger, some of them are worse. I know that. For the most part, I didn't know how to handle them. Whenever I started taking paroxetine, it really helped me. Up until this day, I still take paroxetine, one pill of paroxetine every day. I don't know, I haven't experienced a panic attack in a long time, but I feel like if I stop taking the pill, I might have panic attacks again. And I don't want that because it's horrible. I actually wanted to share this because people always, when they see me on camera, they're like, oh, that's a cool guy. He was very, very confident and he looks like strong, he looks happy, he looks like he's got his life together. For the most part, I am a happy person. I actually feel super weird talking about something that is a weakness, but I just wanted to share this because I feel like there might be a lot of people out there who are suffering from panic attacks and who don't know how to handle them and who don't know what they can do about them. I actually wanted to share this because I wanted to see if there are people who are experiencing the same problems or similar problems, and if so, I want to read about them in the comment section. I just would encourage you people out there to be aware of different kinds of phobias, also raising awareness about things that we might not understand because we don't experience them. There are so many different phobias, sicknesses that we know nothing about, and we can't really relate to them and have the empathy for them because we don't experience them. And we just know what it's like to have the flu, we just know what it's like to have a headache, but we might not know what it feels like to not be able to breathe because of a panic attack. I feel like we have to have a little bit more empathy as human beings, and we have to be a little bit more understanding and a little bit more patient also. For people like me who are a little bit stubborn and maybe also a little bit arrogant, I think I used to be a little bit arrogant. If you experience those kind of problems, don't be too proud. You're not a freak if you have panic attacks. You're not a freak if you have a phobia. You're not crazy if you're weak. Even though having panic attacks doesn't make you a weak person, but even if you feel weak, you're not worth less because you're weak or you feel weak sometimes. Those are just things that make us human. This is probably the very first time that I'm talking about negativities in my life, about things that have affected me in a negative way, about weaknesses. So I feel a little bit weird doing this, but I could actually keep on talking for an hour. But let me just know what you guys think about this topic. If you want to see more of those kind of videos, I'll leave a comment in the comment section below. If you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe if you like the stuff that I'm doing here on YouTube. I see you guys in one of my next videos. Till then, take care of yourselves.